Hey guys, welcome back to a whole new pod, the podcast all about Disney Channel original movies. I'm your host, Lucas. You can't see me, Melby.
And I'm Jacob.
You can't hear him.
You can't hear me tell a shot. Trying to think of
I did
Hulk.
tell Jacob I didn't have anything planned for the intro, but apparently me referencing John Cena's catchphrase was still too much to.
I was trying to think of
off.
like Hulk Hogan's, kind of different catchphrases or something. I don't know. I just thought immediately of Hulk Hogan, and I just couldn't remember.
You can't think of Hulkamania.
Yeah.
Or take your vitamins.
Podomania. Welcome to Podomania.
Of course, it is relevant for us to say you can't see me because we are talking about a little movie, probably actually a very little movie called Invisible Sister today. But also, when we're recording this, it is right before WrestleMania weekend. Yes. So we've got the greased up buff guys on the mind right now.
Darn tootin'.
Fortunately, Hulk Hogan should not have a match at WrestleMania, but John Cena does.
He's got to get one. He's got to get one a year, right? Just to keep his streak going.
He actually hasn't had a match for a little while, I think, or at least at WrestleMania, because he's a movie star now.
Yeah, he's wasn't he in a show too? The Peacemaker. Yeah. So good on you, John, for chasing your dreams of bigger screens.
To be like The Rock. That's his dream, to be like The Rock.
Doesn't sound wrong.
All right, well, I'm sure we have a lot of people writing that 30-second forward or 15-second forward button or switching us to 2 times speed. So, you know what? We talked about it last time that we're trying to sneak this episode in, so we're not going to really beat around the bush. We're just going to hop right into it. I mentioned this is a little movie, both because I feel like this is probably not a DCOM a lot of people know about. It almost sounds like a fake movie or like the 200th Goosebumps book. There were all signs like, I don't know, what if a fucking sister was invisible? Is that spooky enough?
I mean, I'll make a case that this is one that everyone should see. I think it's clearly a hidden gem.
And it's also little in length. It's only 80 minutes, which felt like
it's a win for Lucas.
An oasis in the middle of the desert after the almost 2-hour slog of The Descendants the last time for us.
It's got some magical aspects, I guess, kind of,
It is all
spooky.
Scientific.
It's okay.
The magic of sisterly love.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Let's just launch into it.
I'm ready to roll.
Jacob should be really primed for at least the first 20 minutes because he apparently watched them by himself.
Twice.
Which I don't know if you can fill in because we talked over like the whole beginning. I don't know what we were talking about, but then Jacob was also like explaining stuff to me. But it opens with our main character, Cleo, who is played by... Do you have it pulled up, Jacob?
Yeah, so Rowan Blanchard is Cleo Eastman.
And she is primarily known within the Disney Channel world for being the titular girl in Girl Meets World.
Yeah.
That's the daughter of...
Her name in that is Riley Matthews.
Yeah.
So she's...
Topanga.
Topanga and Corey.
Yeah. I just remembered Topanga.
Yeah.
If Sam Blazing was here, he could go in on a big Boy Meets World thing, but, rest in peace, Sam Blazing.
She was in an episode of Beat Bobby Flay as herself in 2016.
I'm not asking for the full IMDb rundown.
No, I mean, she
is most known, I believe, on her Wikipedia. That's one of the first things for her. Is Girl Meets
72
World.
episodes, and she's the lead role.
Which I didn't realize. I think Girl Meets World started in 2014, which feels...
correct.
That makes me feel old, because I remember being like, this is crazy that they're doing the sequel, but now it's almost 10 years old that it's started.
Yeah.
And she plays Cleo, who is narrating this beginning. Again, we didn't listen to it. I assume it's something along the lines of being like, nobody notices me. My sister Molly is super popular and cool. Yeah. She overshadows me, and I don't really like her very much.
More recently, I don't know if you've heard of the... I'm sure you've seen the movie, right? I think, unless I'm like confusing the two, but Snowpiercer.
That's the TV show.
Yeah, but that's the one about the train, though, right?
Yes, it's a Bong Joon-ho movie.
So
she's in the TV show.
She's in the show, and she's main role, 21 episodes of that. So I don't know.
Nobody watches that show.
I've watched the first season or two of that.
You are crazy. Have you ever watched the show Bosch?
I don't know what that is.
That's an Amazon show that Lance Henrik, who had died recently, it's like, oh, he was on Bosch. And that's a show where it's like, nobody I know has ever seen Bosch, but for whatever reason, Amazon produced like 8 seasons of it.
Weird.
Anyways, Invisible Sister.
There are some other people in this, so I just want to do a quick shout out to
I mean, we could just get to them in short order.
Okay, I'm like,
so
antsy.
we have the sister Molly, who's played by
Paris Berlick.
Yeah, very weird name. I thought she was maybe the main character in Do Revenge, the recent Netflix movie, but she wasn't. And I was like, wait, she looks completely different. And Jacob was very excited for me to tell him that she was in Hubie Halloween.
And there's another character in this movie from Hubie Halloween.
Yeah, Cleo's friend George.
Yeah.
And coincidentally enough, this movie also takes place on Halloween.
Yeah. Double dip, triple dip.
I assume Hubie Halloween had to operate on like every single person who's in it had to have been in a Halloween something movie before being.
Yeah.
Cleo, she's kind of an introvert. She's very smart. She's in science class, but she's kind of above it all. She's falling asleep, putting her headphones on, not paying attention.
Yep. But we do find out now. She's woken up like we often see people fall asleep in class. Nope, when you fall asleep in class, you fall asleep forever. You never wake up. But she gets her, her report card or her grade test back, and what does she get? An A+, 100%, because she's a smarty petardy.
But her teacher, Mr. Perkins, is like, you know what? I'm going to do this weird thing where I'm saying you have to identify this chemical, and it's worth half of your grade now, because you're not challenging yourself. And I'm like, I don't think that's allowed.
Yeah, so then she gets, she kind of makes the case like, oh, George, gets to do this simple thing where he's feeding his guinea pig ice cream and then it just farts all the time. And why do I
not
need
my
to do
favorite
this?
part of the movie.
No, yeah, the guinea pig farts several times throughout the film.
Maybe only 2 times.
Maybe more.
I'll insert audio. Actually, it was 15 times.
So
Jacob was right, I was wrong.
But before we get any further, we need to shout out our guy, Paul Hohen. This is a Paul Hohen movie. And
that is very exciting for not Jacob, because when I said it, he was like, huh? Who?
List the Paul Hohen movies off the top of your head that you remember, Lucas.
Well, we'll soon get to the Zombies trilogy.
Of course.
That will kind of complete the rest of our Paul Hohen DCOMs. But he also more recently did How to Build a Better Boy, which was maybe one of his lesser movies, but it was still fun. He did Cloud 9 as well, which I do not like very much.
You say Luck of the Irish?
Luck of the Irish, to go way back.
Yeah.
Read It and Weep.
The magic
Let
one.
It Shine, and Jump In for maybe the more hip, urban movies. So overall, he has a pretty good batting average for us.
He's on the Mount Rushmore, I would say, of
it's him.
Directors.
Kenny Ortega.
And then after that,
Dwayne Dunham.
Yeah.
And then probably Michelle
Yeoh.
Wendy Wu, who is that? Brenda Song.
Oh, Brenda Song.
She's been in a lot of movies. So, she's on the actor part.
This is your Mount Rushmore right here. And I want to say we like this movie. I want to say it.
So you can turn off the episode now, knowing we liked it.
Yeah. Review over.
Is that all you wanted to say? Is that we like this movie?
I love this movie.
Other character we meet at some point in this is Carter, who I thought was going to be referred to as Sea Dog, but that was just George saying it one time. Yeah. He's kind of a jock, preppy boy, but he's got a big curly mop of hair. And Cleo likes him, but she doesn't believe him when he's like, hey, you want to help me study for our upcoming science quiz? She must think it's going to be like a she's all that situation where he only is pretending to like her,
because we see in the background his friends are kind of laughing and pointing at them, and she's at first she's kind of excited, she's
one
shy.
One of his friends has horrible line delivery where he's like, it's the day before Halloween, vampire girl, and it's she doesn't even she's not even super goth or anything.
No, she just has purple hair.
I was like, this character cannot return in this movie. Yeah. He doesn't. He has that one line and he walks away.
Yeah, it was kind of silly, goofy.
They should have pulled the bully from Teen Beach too.
Ooh.
But yeah, Sea Dog or Connor, he's genuinely nice. But Cleo, she's just too shut off from the world. She doesn't trust anybody except George.
Yeah.
And then to round out our full cast list, for the most part, we then have Molly's boyfriend, Coog, or
the Coogster,
the
Coogler,
who is going to be a character I will probably regret being in this movie, because the way Jacob will pronounce it will be like Kooka.
he's who is he reminding me of from that what was the name of that character?
I think maybe Trip in
Trip.
Zapped.
Yeah,
he's just
that's the one. Just he's
got a drug rug on.
Yes.
He's a bit of a stoner bro.
Yes,
which is interesting for him to be seemingly friend or boyfriend with like the coolest girl in school, Molly.
Yeah.
They invite Cleo and George out to, I thought it was ice cream, but later on at the end of the movie, I think we see that it's a frozen yogurt shop.
Oh, okay. Froyo, yeah, for all the hipsters out there.
Cleo's like, no, that's not for us. We don't like you. Go on. And George is like, oh, I wanted to get with her friend Nikki.
True.
Who I'll mention now because I probably won't remember to mention her the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
So then they go home and the parents, Molly and Cleo's parents are packing up for like a weekend trip. And here, maybe I was already coming through with the opening narration, but we're getting the general theme of the movie, or the feeling of Cleo is that nobody sees her. But then soon we'll find out that everybody can see her, and it's not her sister, or it's her sister they can't see. But here, the parents almost don't see her as they're about to leave, and they're like, Molly, good luck on your big lacrosse game. The college scouts are going to be there, right? Oh, and Cleo, don't hurt yourself doing like science or whatever nerd shit you do. Okay, bye.
No, her parents are very minor role. We see them a little bit at the end.
This is, I think, the only scene where they actually speak. We see them one other time, and I don't think they say any words.
Pretty irrelevant.
And Molly, I felt like a little irresponsibly, but it's a Disney Channel movie, so it's not that crazy of a party. But she has a party with her whole girls lacrosse team, as well as like their associated boyfriends, and which includes the Coog making meatballs.
And he was asking, didn't he say, what's in meatballs?
And Molly says, meat.
Oh, that's not what she says.
It is what she says.
Oh, I thought you said me.
No,
we had heard, we thought we had heard when she first said it. Meat.
Which wouldn't even be like a
me.
That's what she said joke or anything anyways. Yeah. But you could say that. And have I talked about, no, I'm sure I have not talked about, American board games suck. American board games have been ruined since Cards Against Humanity.
You don't like Risk? You don't like Monopoly? You're not a...
Well, those are very old games.
You say modern
American games? Like, most good games come from, like, Europe or, like...
You're going to go see Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah, probably not. But all these games, it's like every Christmas, like, the family, my dad's side of the family gets, like, a new game. And this year they got some game where it's like, that's what she said. And they're all basically just apples to apples knockoffs. But it's like, what if a card said dick on it?
Oh.
And you made your mom say it. And that's the premise of the game. And there's, like, 50 iterations. And, yeah. That's what she said has been ruined by Zoomers and people who just say it when it doesn't even apply.
Lucas is clearly
You're
upset.
not supposed to like Michael Scott as a character. As the later seasons that ruined his character arc. Invisible Sister, though. I see you, Invisible Sister. In the words of Jake Sully.
I see. Now on streaming.
To rent. You gotta pay for it.
Yeah.
You gotta put up the big bucks.
It'll be on Disney Plus in Big Jim. It'll be on Disney Plus in a few months.
I'll probably buy it on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Anyways, Invisible Sister. This party's happening, and Cleo is just like in her own little room doing experiments where she's trying to identify.
Well, I don't think she's in a room. She was kind of like kicked out to like the garage area or something. I think she kind of.
I wasn't sure if that was just like her science base.
Maybe, yeah. She said I was like excommunicated or something from my house. She's like, this isn't really excommunication,
because George is there with her.
Yeah, too. George is helping, and they're mixing.
But George is like, I want to go drink not alcoholic beverages with the other kids,
and the red Solo
okay,
cups.
Go ahead, George.
Yeah.
And then she identifies this chemical as being sucralose, but then she knocks some other chemicals she has laying around into it, and it creates this mist coming above it, and then a moth flies through the mist, and she sees it become invisible.
Ooh.
So then she tries to capture it in a jar, but then she falls, and the jar breaks, and then there's this whole big thing where she's chasing after it with a butterfly net to try to catch this moth. And she's like, doesn't anybody see it? But we kind of see it because it's still like slowly morphing.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like in video games where a lot of the time when you're invisible, you're technically not invisible because it wouldn't be fun for other players to like not be able to see you. It's like the over shield or cloak or whatever in like Halo, where it's kind of shimmery. And it looks okay. Like, it's decent effects.
Like the effects in this movie were probably some of my favorite that we've seen.
I mean, it probably is better for them to represent invisible things than actually representing the visible things. Because it's like, if they had a real, or if they put like a CG moth just by itself, it'd be like, oh, that may look bad some of the time. But if it's an invisible moth, it looks okay.
True.
So she's running around the party, and essentially the moth gets away.
Yeah, she's chasing it around, and she does ask George. She's trying to explain to George that she's chasing this invisible moth, but nobody else really seems to carry notice. But yeah, then it's gone. She's lost her discovery, sadly.
And then the party essentially ends without much consequence besides that Molly probably has an upset stomach from the meatballs. So as she's going to bed, she is taking like Alka-Seltzer, or very specifically a brand called Ginger Fizz.
Yes.
She puts it into a cup of water, and then, oh, what's this? The moth somehow just decides to come back to the house.
Land in the cup.
It lands in her cup.
And she drinks it. She visibly, we see her like, ugh, like when she's drinking it, she's like,
because this is a sizable moth. This is, cover of Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, God. Moth. No, yeah, it's a big moth, and she visibly, we notice that she's like, what was that I just drank,
But she's like, whatever.
But and immediately, so we as an audience know that this is the moth that was invisible, and immediately now,
did you catch that?
Yes. So immediately now we start to see her. She's like closing the shades on her bedroom, and she's like flickering between being visible and invisible.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, no, I think you were taking notes. But yeah, she just for a moment goes invisible, like before she even goes to bed.
But then she goes to bed and
this
fully covers herself in covers.
This happens at midnight, so that's kind of a crucial part to the story.
Kind of. The movie makes it seem like it is. Then it's like, it didn't really
It's like
matter.
The Cinderella thing, man. Gotta get the slipper on.
So then she wakes up in the morning, and we see where she was in her covers. It's now just hollowed out, and the covers are floating in space, and then they get flung off, and she's walking in her slippers, and we're seeing the slippers go.
Grabbing a towel,
and
doing all this stuff.
Goes through this whole process of the bathroom, grabbing her toothpaste and whatever. And then she closes the mirror, and we see that in the mirror there's nothing, but then we see her appear in physical form. So this movie, the mechanics of her being invisible, the only way it really makes sense is that she can still see herself.
I do agree with you
but other people can't see her. Because otherwise, maybe you can get away with it, like in movies where it's like, oh my gosh, I transformed into like I watched Turning Red again recently, where it's like she doesn't realize she's a red panda, but that's because she's like sleepy-eyed walking around or something. You can't walk in, like put on slippers, grab toothpaste and toothbrush if you can't see your own hands. That's not going to happen.
That's fair. Yeah.
So then she screams because she's seen that she's invisible, or a vampire potentially, which wakes up Cleo, and Cleo runs into the bathroom, and there's a bit of comedy.
Where are you? I can see you, but I can't hear you. And then Lucas's favorite line of the movie, I'm not in the toilet.
I only remembered it because it was from IMDb trivia, one of like 2 quotes on there.
Yeah, she opens up the toilet, she's like, where are you?
Well, yeah, because her voice did make it seem like she was coming from
like echoed, or kind of, muffled or whatever.
Cleo's like, oh my god, what the hell is going on? And she quickly puts it together like, hey, did you like drink an invisible moth or something?
So it did taste kind of buggy.
And for whatever reason, even though the moth didn't consume anything, it only like touched the vapor.
Yeah.
By consuming the moth, that would transfer the invisible properties onto Molly. Whatever, I don't care about the science of this. I'm not Neil deGrasse Tyson.
This is kind of the first time we see her, so she like puts a towel on her, and she's like, when I take this off, everything's gonna be back to normal, and she takes it off. She's still invisible, she screams, and then she like splashes water on her face. This is the first time that we kind of see that like substance that like touches her skin kind of sticks there, so you can kind of see her face and stuff, for a little bit there. And later on in the movie, we see, other moments where like there's stuff on her, like dirt or powder or whatever, that you can see her.
But here's Coog. Coog busts down the door and is like, Molly, where are you? And he's in a bear costume.
The courageous bear, because all of them are supposed to be going as characters from the Wizard of Oz.
We'll see that she has a Dorothy costume shortly.
Yeah, so he goofs up his costume. He's supposed to obviously get a lion.
It's the cowardly bear. And it's Halloween that day, and she's like, oh no, I'm not feeling the best. And he's like, was it the meatballs? And I don't know, Cleo says something to kind of like get him out of there.
Yeah.
And then she's trying to, again, think about like the science of it and how she could maybe reverse it for her sister. And her sister's like, well, I got to go to school. And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're invisible. You can't go to school.
So, she just starts putting on like her Dorothy costume. She's putting on all of her stuff. And then it kind of clicks that like, well, you could be me. But how?
And why? So she is so insistent on her going to school because she has to go to all of her classes to be able to play in the lacrosse game.
Yep.
And there's college scouts coming to this lacrosse game.
Yes.
So, and later on the night, we're going to get Romp in the Swamp. So we're getting a big game and the big dance on a single day.
Paul Hohen, what a goat.
He plays the hits.
He knows. He knows.
So yeah, it's like, I don't know if they really look that similar, but she puts on the Dorothy costume.
But then she has, and it's fitting because I believe they live in New Orleans, she has a Mardi Gras mask.
Yeah.
So she's Mardi Gras Dorothy.
And actually, before we forgot an important element is that Molly originally puts on the dress and it's like, well, I'll just put like a bunch of makeup on and that will like make my face appear. But then the dress starts to become invisible as well.
Yes.
Which then explains why she's not like, invisible body walking around with clothes floating in the air, except for some of the time. So if stuff has long enough contact with her, it will turn invisible as well.
And that's so she doesn't need to be naked. We don't need a naked Molly running around.
Yeah. Jacob shook his head. Not my invisible lady. So that's why Cleo has to go, and she does agree. And it seems to work.
Yeah, which is kind of odd to me because, I mean, she's like the nerdy, smart one who does, well in classes. Why would she be willing to, sacrifice her science grades or, all her courses,
Well, yeah. Well, she maybe feels
being a
bad
good sister.
about, the moth turning her invisible.
Yeah.
And I would say, whatever, Rowan Blanchard or whatever the fuck her name is, I think she's actually very good in this because there's some times where it's not clear if, like, when she was acting, if maybe, like, somebody's, like, off screen and that's who she's acting against, or if she's just purely like acting off of nothing because her sister's invisible in that scene.
Yeah.
As well as there's some moments like when she's walking into school where Molly's like, you gotta walk like me, and she's like puppeting her.
Yeah.
But then so there's sometimes where we see the Molly actress physically moving her,
and then other times you don't, but it looks really goofy and silly.
And she does like a good physical comedy of like moving and stuff like that.
Like move it like Bernie. But no, it was
exactly.
It was
So yeah, she's very good.
The acting is good. I don't think there's any bad actor in here. I mean, there's like, the Coug is silly, but he's not, I don't think it's bad acting.
I think like, I just want to like give credit. Like, I think she's kind of above the others. Like the others are like acceptable.
Yeah.
They're not like, it's not the worst we've ever gotten into DCOM. It's not, what was her name from The Ring of Endless Light?
Oh.
It'll come back to me. No, it won't.
Who cares?
Invisible Sister. So she's going into school and people are saying hi to Molly, which is like, did people know she was going to be Dorothy? Because otherwise...
Well, yes. People would have known because remember everybody else is dressed as like the line monkeys.
But I'm talking about like the entire school.
Well, she's like that big of a deal. She's kind of like the popular girl.
I guess.
Yeah.
So then the first test kind of comes with her needing to convince that... Molly's friend Nikki that she's Molly.
Yeah.
And another funny physical quirk she has is whenever she's talking to people when she's pretending to be Molly, she like is pulling and like running her fingers through her hair, like like an aloof girl kind of thing.
Yeah.
And also her sister at this point, it's a like awesome city like one time, so then she says like awesome city whenever she's talking. So
and it's fun. She does, she kind of explains to people like, oh, I'm sick or, whatever. This is why my voice sounds different. She establishes it to people that,
And that Cleo is also sick because Nikki buys that it's Molly, but then Cleo.
It is
third base. Cleo gets a call from George, and George is like, where are you? Oh, I'm sick. Well, I'm looking at your sister right now, and she is hot.
And it is kind of silly because George can see that she's on the phone, but he's also talking to her on the phone.
But then she turns away.
Yeah. Fair enough.
And then there's like a weird midday lacrosse team gets excused from class or something where they have like a group counseling session where they got like a talking circle and they're all supposed to say... something positive, but then also really like bare their soul.
I like this scene because, it has all the people in their costumes. You have the flying monkeys, you have Land of the Good Witch, you have the Scarecrow, you have all the characters. So like the outfits in this and later on, I think the party is really cool. I really liked, like the costumes and the various settings. I mean, the settings were a lot better than, even like our last movie, which could have been a lot more cooler, but this is, I don't know, it's just Paul Hohen knows what he's doing.
He brings the magic even when it's not magical.
Damn straight.
And she gets some pushback from Nikki because Nikki's like, hey, say something like really heartfelt. And she's just like, oh, I love you guys so much. And Cleo then gets like pressed and she's like, she gives basically a speech where she's talking as herself. Where she's like, I'm not the person you guys think I am, you know? I'm really somebody different. And everybody's like, oh, that's so deep. Popular girls just like me. But Molly is looking on all this and she's like, huh. Yeah, maybe I do feel this way.
Like, her sister, this whole movie was never really... Like, I felt there was going to be maybe, like, some more conflict or, like, a lot of conflict, you know? And there's maybe a little bit, but nothing
Well, we
crazy.
Kind of talked over their, like, one fight, I think.
Yeah, they're not too much conflict.
So then Molly sneaks out a bit to then go grab a microscope because she needs to... I think she takes it home eventually. So
yes, because they want to look at her cells and how
Cleo
they're...
can do science.
Yeah, to see, like, you know, what's going on, you know, and they, you know, determine, oh, is she going to be invisible forever?
But as she's taking the microscope, she's overhearing George talking to Connor, and Connor's like, hey, what's up with, like, Cleo? Do you think she likes me or something?
She didn't show up here. We were going to have a date.
No, that hasn't been set up yet.
No, not yet. Okay.
So,
about here.
Molly hears this and goes, So then there's a bit of a weird thing where the Coog.
The Coogster has the bear costume.
Is feeling the effects of the meatballs as well. And basically, without spelling it out too much, he needs to take
a poopy.
A diarrhea shit.
A dump, a big dumpy.
And then there's a bit where Molly sneaks into the boys' bathroom after him to steal his bear costume. Yeah. And the boys' bathroom is supposed to be disgusting. But really all they did was just throw like wet paper towels everywhere.
Like wet paper towels everywhere. I mean, like on the floor, there's like probably like 50 on the doors, on the ceilings. It's really odd.
So, this is kind of weird. Like Disney Channel wanting to be gross, but it's not like we hear them like doing like nasty shit noises or anything, and which I appreciate. I would have been fine if there was some other way they concocted him losing his bear costume momentarily.
Kind of a silly moment.
So then I was like, hey, movie, this is a plot hole. Shouldn't the costume, when she puts it on, turn invisible? But the idea is that it has less physical contact than like her clothes. So it will eventually turn invisible, but it takes more time. So within that time...
This gives her, enough time to go back to talk to those two at the lab.
Yeah, Connor and George. Yeah. And she's like, oh, Connor, like, you're so cool. What you doing tonight? He's like, what? Why are you being nice? And she's just like, what? Let's go to romp in the swamp. And he's like, yeah, I'm volunteering there. All right, it's a date. I'll see you there. And then she runs out. Because at that point, her like hand is starting to turn invisible.
Yeah, one of her hands is going away, and this kind of like throws him off because Connor was kind of always under the impression like you're just always so off-putting. You know,
she's maybe playing hard to get.
Yes, and she's like, you were just so nice to me. It's really kind of like, what's going on?
So then she catches up with Cleo and says, hey, you got a date with Connor. And she's like, what? He doesn't really like me. He's just like trying to get good grades or something. And she's like, nope, it's a date.
He really likes you.
But she has to then sneak away because she's disintegrating, or the bear costume's turning invisible.
Yes.
And then George walks in on them and freaks out because of like the headless bear costume. So he gets the debrief about like, hey, this is my invisible sister.
Here we got our first one that knows what's kind of going on. It won't be the last one either.
And kind of throughout all of this, we've already gotten a number, and then we get like the biggest one of kind of like, I would describe it as moments of you attending your own funeral where you're seeing what people actually think about you or hear what they would say about you.
Yeah.
So Mr. Perkins sees Molly, or who he thinks is Molly, and asks her like, hey, is Cleo okay? I saw she wasn't here today, and I was worried it was because of like me giving her that hard science project.
Did I give her too much, that I put too much pressure on her,
And then Cleo again is like running her hands through her hair. I was like, nope, she's totally awesome city.
She might even be discovering more. She might have more than you you would have possibly expected.
And then Mr. Perkins is like, oh, that's great. Your sister, she's really special. And maybe, I'm only pushing her hard because I know she can take it. And she's like destined for really great things. And it's like, aw, Mr. Perkins.
What a guy. What a good guy.
This movie's cute.
Yeah.
So school is over. Whew, big relief. But wait. That means it's time for the big game.
Uh-oh, not the big game.
I was really interested with how this is going to play out because obviously she can't like fake doing lacrosse, right? Well, at least not right away because she gets laid out hard.
Yeah, there's a lot of... I wish we would have had a few more harder hits. Back to back.
Why would you say that?
Well, because I'm being reminded of The Descendants we just watched, which was basically like a lacrosse. We have 2 movies back to back that have a lacrosse scene.
Well, but Disney Channel's not going to make a girl sport super aggressive.
No.
I'll leave that for...
I'm having withdrawals from The Descendants.
Jay and Carlos? Ugh.
Yeah. Back to back lacrosse.
Don't make me think about Descendants until Descendants do. So Molly tells her, like, hey, get the fuck up and get serious. And she's like, but I hurt.
And she's like, yeah, I have all the scouts here. This is my time to shine. We gotta do this right.
So then we get some fun combination of her, like, running along with her and puppeting her arms to, like, catch the ball or pass the ball. Or...
And at some point, she also goes ahead and, like, knocking out the opponents.
Yeah, so then there's, like, 3 people that just get invisibly blocked as her sister's running forward. And then there's some times where, like, the goalie gets like knocked out and they get scored on.
And people are aware of this because the commentator says, oh, wow, just got knocked out by the wind.
Well, yeah, they're not aware of the invisible system.
No, but they're aware that, like, these people are getting, like, falling down for some reason.
And I'm sure, like, scouts take notes, but it's so funny that all of the college scouts, they're the, like, only people standing up in, like, the bleachers, and they all have notebooks in front of them, and they're just scribbling constantly.
Yeah.
Which I thought was funny.
Your typical scout behavior, right?
So then it's either, like, halftime or, like, it might even be, like, timeout before, like, the final play, where Molly's like, hey, you need to fucking seriously make this count.
Yes.
Cleo gives some, like, big rousing speech to the team to motivate everybody to really try hard, rah, rah, rah. And then she's able to, in the end, score a winning point completely unassisted. The team wins. They lift her up on their shoulders, and Molly looks on.
Molly's trying to, like, give high fives to her teammates. Nobody's giving high fives to her because, well, she's invisible. So we kind of see her down, bummed out, because this should be her moment. And obviously it's not.
I mean, in a way.
It is her moment, but it's not, in her heart of hearts.
So this is where we're maybe starting to... This is where the seeds of discord are sown a little bit for the conflict we'll get in short order. Because, again, the movie's only 80 minutes long, so things are pretty telegraphed to be like, all right, this has to happen here because there's only so much time left in our movie.
Yes.
All right, big game out of the way. That just leaves... The main issue is we got to solve this invisibility thing. And at home, they're like, we can't figure this out. You know what? We need to recreate the experiment completely. But to do that, we probably need to go to the school.
Yep.
But before they go to the school, they also need to find a moth. And, hey, I'll tell you, personally, I fucking hate moths. And moths, they can find you anywhere if you got a light. You don't need to go to the cemetery like they do in this movie.
We need to go to the super darkest place. And she's like, we got to go to the cemetery on a Halloween night?
You go out in my backyard during the summertime and turn on a light, looking at your phone or something, the moths get you.
And they have, like, a legit lantern. They have, like, a fire-lit lantern.
Well, I think in New Orleans, everybody's got one of those to go in their
spooky
cemetery
and
tours.
I would even make the argument that why aren't there, like, other people or, like, tours going on at the cemetery on Halloween night? That's
Halloween.
Just what happens, man.
Because they're scared of the moths.
True. We'll get them. Mothman.
So yeah, it does seem like at least portions of this movie were filmed on location in New Orleans. And this seems to be an authentic New Orleans cemetery. There's big
really cool
tombs or mausoleums.
Really, I don't know, but really big.
A pyramid one that maybe could have been Nicolas Cage's.
Probably.
They find a moth, but it's going up too high. And Molly does this very elaborate thing where she climbs up the tree. With the net, of course. Yeah. Tries to catch it, falls into a big thing of mud. And she does not take it well. Even though Cleo gets mud too on her. It splashes up on her. And Molly's like, fucking, We kind of talked over this, so I don't really fully understand. So, she's like, enough. I'm tired of your sarcasm, your, like, loner attitude. You know what? I'm going to be alone now. I'm going to do this me.
There are several moments in the cemetery where you can see her. Like, there's, like, some...
I did forget about that.
Some mist or whatever. Or I can see you're shining off of the moon's, light or whatever.
There's, like, mist in the cemetery.
So you can see her, and that's kind of cool, like the effects that they use.
Equate to anything. It's just like, hey, what if we made her look like a ghost and she's in the cemetery?
Yes, and then
that's
when
the mind of Paul Hohen.
He's a smart man. He knows. He knows.
He's like, I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
A boo.
Bustin' makes me feel good.
Damn right.
And that's why Paul Hohen only went on to direct 3 more Disney Channel original movies.
Oh, shame. He should keep making movies. But we also see her again, obviously, when she lands in the mud, when they're, having their talk. You can see them kind of face to face. She is visible here.
Then they kind of part ways, and Cleo is like, hey, Molly, where are you? And then she kind of just resigns herself. It's like, well, I can't find her. If she doesn't want to be found, she's fucking invisible. So she just sits down and then talks to really nobody. Maybe Molly's there to listen. She doesn't know. And she's just like, Molly, the reason I shut you out, we used to be friends as kids or whatever, but I shut you out because I was jealous of you, that everybody liked you.
Everybody,
you were in the spotlight.
They just want her light.
And I felt invisible.
Yeah.
And I wish I was you. And we get it later on, but then we find later on that Molly was jealous of Cleo because Cleo's super smart.
Yeah.
And, kind of classic sisterly conflict or brotherly conflict kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk of light. I admire your light.
Like Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, Kingdom Hearts. That's going to be our new bit.
Yeah. I mean, I've referenced Kingdom Hearts a few other times on this podcast. Still for Jacob to be like, hey, do you like Kingdom Hearts?
I can relate.
I reference Rick in Kingdom Hearts in the Ready to Run episode because the guy who plays Logan Eccles and Veronica Mars voices Terra in the Kingdom Hearts games.
Wow.
Jacob won't know who Terra is for probably 4 more years. He only recently beat the Alice in Wonderland world.
Give me a break. Right now I'm clapping cheeks with Tarzan, though. We're swinging.
Hey.
We're
For the Kingdom Hearts fans out there, literally the worst world in all of the Kingdom Hearts games. Deep Jungle.
Because you just don't like clapping cheeks on the vines, swinging around?
It's not clapping cheeks.
You're clapping.
Not on the vines. You don't fight anybody.
No, you're moving, you're grooving, you're surfing. You're surfing the wood.
Once you get... if you had trouble with the candlestick boss, you might have trouble with the boss there, too.
Oh, no.
But you're in the HD version where you can skip cutscenes. Just imagine some of those cutscenes before boss fights.
You can't. So you have to sit
on the original PS2,
time?
You could not skip them.
Oh, no.
So when I would go on the hard difficulty of Kingdom Hearts, at least 2 times I made it to Deep Jungle and the boss there, and I had to stop playing because I couldn't keep the boss, and I was going insane, having to listen to Tarzan's horrible, ooh, 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 before the boss every single time.
Oh, no.
So you will at least know that pain.
Maybe I'll watch it. Maybe I'll just want to put myself through that.
But I was feeling the pain of Cleo in this moment, like she was feeling like me in Deep Jungle. And I thought, again, the actress did a really good job with this heartfelt speech. And Molly did here.
And she
appears with a mason jar with a moth.
The moth, yeah, they catch it. They do eventually catch it, and then they catch a trolley. And on the trolley, we see that older lady that we've seen earlier in the movie where they dropped the title of the movie. When they're driving around.
Well, yeah, we didn't mention that, though.
No.
So now we have to mention it here.
We have to.
That she gets driven to school, Cleo, by Molly, because she doesn't have a driver's license. But Molly's invisible, so an old lady sees them, and
she literally
Cleo just says, this is my invisible sister driving. And she turned at the camera and winked.
Oh.
And then we saw Mike pop down from the top of the screen. It's like, do you get it? This is a movie.
Did she wink?
No, she didn't.
I was like, there's no way.
And then she did the thing where she drew the Disney or the Mickey Mouse ears. Yeah. And she said, you're watching Invisible Sister. So yeah, the old lady just riding the trolley Halloween night.
She gets scared. She's freaked out. She gets off, I think, and runs away.
Yeah. She's not the only person that'll get freaked out.
Oh.
So then they need to sneak into the school where we get a really great short scene with the security guard. I feel like I want to believe this was an ad-lib phone conversation where he's hitting on some girl on the phone. He's like, yeah, I'm kind of a black belt in Kung Fu.
Dude, he had
more like a brown belt. Well, actually a yellow belt, but an advanced yellow belt.
It was pretty funny. He's got a kind of a Cajun accent, I would say. His accent is kind of silly. Maybe it's Southern, goofy.
And it reminded me of in high school when we did skits for drama club for that Madhouse program I talked about in some episode, or in videos we made. We had a recurring joke that we stole it from somebody else. But when somebody's on the phone, they'd walk in home and they'd just go, and that's when the Pope said, that's not my hat, that's my wife.
I've heard
be
that.
All right, see you later, and then hung up. So that reminded me of here being just say something on the phone, and then they're like, well, how can we sneak in? He's there. It's like, come on, guys. You got a fucking invisible girl.
Yeah.
An invisible sister.
She kind of knocks on the door, and he's like, what was that?
She does knock on the door.
She knocks on the glass door. He opens it up. Is anybody out there? And she sneaks in, obviously. And then he closes it, and then she pushes like a mop thing, like down the hallway, and he kind of like, oh, you know what's going on? It's rolling.
Says, oh, yoink, Scoob!
like zoinks, hey, Scoob. Yeah, and then she starts,
yoinks. What kind of, who am I? I don't even get it right.
Speaking of Sarah Michelle Gellar, Freddie Prinze Jr., what movie do you think I just watched last night? Or a couple nights ago? I know what you did last summer.
I know what you did a couple of nights ago.
Yeah, that was a few nights ago.
I know what you did a few nights ago.
What is that? Is that another movie?
No, I'm making a joke.
Oh. What did I do a few nights ago?
You watched I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Oh, Lucas.
Jesus Christ.
I'm struggling here.
My brother recently said he had listened to the episode and the reference to the episode where I talked about getting a UTI from the ocean. It's like, oh, I gotta remember, like, my family can occasionally listen to this.
Yes.
But he's like, oh, Jacob seems to be doing a better job. And well, this is what I gotta work with. He can't even get. I'm telling great jokes here.
They're over my head. Okay, you're too good.
And I gotta explain all of them.
You're too good for me.
He gets them, then he explains them to the audience.
I have to, because sometimes the audience might not pick up on our inside jokes.
I'm kind of from a school of like
Hard Knocks,
Mystery Science Theater 3000, where sometimes a joke.
You're always commenting.
Like, this person looks like this person, and it's like, if you don't know who that person is,
you're fucked.
You don't get the fucking joke.
You don't get the joke.
Pull out a fucking encyclopedia, do your research to figure out this one joke out of like 100 in the Mitchell episode or whatever.
So after she rolls the mop bucket down, she starts bouncing a basketball around, and then eventually
what a dirty hallway. Like, what all this like junks laying around?
So the basketball bounces down the steps and then lands at his feet, and then like she goes and like grabs like a paint bucket and starts like painting. Like, what is she painting? And then we get like a scan up and it says boo. And then she literally says, boo, and he just runs away. He freaked out.
He runs through the wall. There's a cutout print of him there or whatever.
Yes.
I hope they cleaned up that paint, because that's not nice to the janitor if he has to come in.
No, that was pretty irresponsible.
Teens writing boo on the floor.
So they've gotten to the school now, and now we see them they're in the science lab.
And somehow they like recreate, it's like, oh, I spilled these random chemicals in, and they still are able to do that, but they're like, these results, I can't make any sense of this. If only we had a super smart, secretly smart person.
Carter!
And yeah, I didn't mention earlier when George was talking to Carter, Carter's like, actually, yeah, I was like a governor's scholar. And then he's like, but don't tell anybody. Yeah, because I'm cool, and I want to be a nerd like you.
Gotta maintain his cool, his cool.
So that means, oh yeah, by the way, you were going to have that date with him anyways. Let's go to the romp in the swamp.
Romp at the swamp.
Which, do you want to talk about the romp in the swamp, Jacob?
Okay, so the romp in the swamp is obviously their big Halloween party. It's got a really cool entrance.
But it's not at the school.
No, it's I don't know, at a swamp. I don't know. It has like a mansion. Like there's a creepy kind of haunted house there that we briefly see inside. It's got like one room with like an organ with like a giant-headed skeleton man playing it.
Not one of the cooler aspects, though.
No, there's like a fortune teller room, and there's one other kind of room in there. But on the outside, at the entrance, we kind of see like 3 or 4 kind of animatronic skeletons that are kind of dancing above, welcoming people in. Like they have like a lot of kind of like lights hanging.
Okay, I don't know if I wanted this much.
It's fun. I like the setting. I like the setting. It's fun. Paul Hohen.
They had like a band really that had like an upright bass player. Yeah. Lots of like black light neon
black light stuff is really cool. And then of course you have everybody in costumes, which are, some of them are like, what is that guy? Is he a pimple? He's a Sith? Is he a criminal?
Is he an invisible sister?
Yes.
Is he I Know What You Did Last Summer?
Is he a pot of honey?
Well, before they find Carter, they run into the Coog.
The Coogster.
And he's like, Molly's, where is she? She doesn't love me anymore. And Cleo's like, you'll see her soon. And she does love you. And we also forgot when she was Molly earlier in the movie, the Coog almost kissed her.
Yeah, he did.
She pushed him off.
She's like, no, Cougs.
Jake immediately was like, is he gonna kiss her?
And then it happened.
I'd like it if he kissed her.
No, I manifested it though. But then Molly like kind of speaks up like, Coog, I really do like you, What, Molly? Are you here?
I'm invisible. Yeah. Oh, you mean you like can't take damage?
No, not invincible.
And then she like lifts him up.
Yeah. It's like, it is you, Molly. Oh, what's up, girl? Why are you invisible?
So, Coog takes it in stride.
Yeah. And then he joins the squad of, George, who also knows about the invisibility.
George knows. Who doesn't know, though? Scotty doesn't know.
Scotty doesn't know.
Then I think Cleo goes on her own to talk to Carter, and Carter's pissed at her.
Well, yeah, because he's got this whole thing where he's like, you always have this, you're so off-putting, you like never want to talk to me and stuff like that. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry.
And then you finally did today.
You're finally nice to me.
You had a cool bear costume.
You tell me you want to go on a date, so I made this fucking felt pot of honey. I spent all afternoon because you were a bear, remember?
I had to go to Joanne Fabrics.
She has no idea, obviously, it wasn't her in the bear costume. She's like, what are you talking about? You remember that bear costume? I was going to be your pot of honey because bears and pot of honey go together. She's like, I'm so sorry, but we need your help.
Well, yeah, she's kind of, she's stone-faced at first, but she's like, actually, no, I do like you, Carter.
I've always liked you, but I've been so afraid because you're so cool,
yeah,
you know. And
guys like you don't like girls like me unless it's for a secret bet in a movie where you take my glasses off and you think I look cute, and then you actually do come around and like me in the end.
Yes.
But yeah, that's what I figured was going to happen here. But she's like, but I also hear you're secretly smart, so can you help us out? And he's like, okay, I guess. So then they take him to like a shack.
Yeah, a barn or shack.
Not actually in the
it's at like
area.
The entrance. It's like the entrance of it.
Entrance.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird
and
spot.
Finally, I was like, somebody's got to be freaked out about the sister.
Cleo's here. Molly's here. George is here. Did I say Cougar already? And now everybody's here. Soon, I won't spoil that yet, but yes, like you were saying, he passes out. She puts a sheet on him.
Yeah, she's like, well. She makes a little joke. She's like, well, you'll not see soon. Instead of being like, you'll see what I need your help for. So she's like, all right, you ready? And she throws the sheet. So we finally get like the kind of ghost bed sheet thing.
So that's fun.
And then Molly says like, sup? And he's like, oh, and he hits his head because then we cut to him with an ice pack on his head.
Wait, where'd they get the ice pack?
You know, it's a wild part. I was like, yeah, okay, that's fun. And then he's like, all right, yeah, I think I can concoct an antidote. But then they needed like a quick scavenger hunt around the party to create.
They're pulling apart like the organ. They got to steal the organ pipes, and they got to steal tubes from different people and all this stuff. But they do eventually put together a still.
And then it all comes together where it's like very time crunch.
It's got to be done by midnight.
Drunk it at midnight, so that means like we have to do this before midnight.
Because
then Mr. Perkins is like knocking on the door, be like, "Hey, you guys got a still in there? You can't be in there!" And they're like, "Oh my god!" So then it's like right down to the wire. They've got a red Solo cup for her to drink.
You need to drink this, and Molly doesn't drink it. She opens up the door to let Mr. Perkins in.
And then throws flour on herself to be like, "Hey, look, I'm invisible,
He's
Mr.
like,
Perkins. Give her an A."
Yeah, exactly. So she's revealed now. Mr. Perkins is in on it. He sees it, and he's kind of in shock, I would say.
He had come in right as the clock struck midnight.
So now the 12 chimes are done. It's too late, but she still drinks it.
But it doesn't seem to work.
It doesn't work.
And then I think Carter's like, well, actually, your like calculations were pretty conservative, so like she should still have a time window.
Yes.
And then they put it together. Like, what else did you have that night? Maybe it's the ginger fizz. Do you have any? She's like, I never leave the house with that much ginger fizz.
Gotta plug the fizz.
So then they just throw it into, I don't know if it's just
a cup,
a water, like a cup of water, or something.
And more. They have more of the concoction now, more that's collected since this time.
And it works. She becomes visible again. Jacob was like, is she gonna be naked?
Oh.
I'm like, no, Jacob.
She has clothes on.
Which actually, a funny bit about her changing clothes, which I guess makes sense because she did run around, but like during the lacrosse game, she's got like a sport outfit on.
Yeah.
But it's like, girl, nobody can see you.
True.
You could be wearing a winter coat.
Could be. Be really sweaty.
Very sweaty. Jacob would have liked that.
That's fine.
You project onto me sometimes, I project onto you.
That's okay.
So then, all right, let's go enjoy the dance. Coog and Molly go off. Carter and Cleo. We don't actually see them dance.
George and Nikki now hook up.
But we don't see that either. Like I was like writing in my notes, like assuming that would have been what happened. But we don't see them at the dance. But we do see them at the frozen yogurt place.
Yeah, they're boyfriend girlfriend. Everybody's got.
Where like Molly like lifts up a thing of frozen yogurt to like toast Cleo and be like, I love my sister. And we get kind of a super cut of Cleo narrating and being like, hey, I'm finally seen by her parents.
Yes,
by
so
her peers,
Mr. Perkins says something, I think when they're in the barn still, where he's like, you know what? I run like this weird nerdy thing of New Orleans where you can show everybody your findings. Would you be into that? And she's like, yes. So then we see her showing
like a PowerPoint and be like, "Am I invisible, sister?
I made my sister invisible." Everybody's applauding. Her parents
It'd be
finally
funny if
notice
it did
her.
say like my invisible sister.
So her parents notice her. All the adults notice
but we don't actually hear her parents say anything. This is only their second scene in the movie.
Yeah. So yeah, she's finally been noticed. She's finally visible.
And then that's the end of the movie. It's a quick, tight 80 minutes.
Yeah.
No bloops. We just get like, hey, these were all the shots we did invisible.
Remember we
stuff
spent
in?
like $1 million to go invisible? This is where we did it.
Yeah. I had heard both from that YouTube video I've referenced a few times about the history of Disney Channel original movies, that this was actually kind of a low-key good movie, as well as our frequent commenter. I can't remember her username off the top of my head. She said that this was kind of like what she looked at as the reset or the starting point for kind of the modern era of DCOMs, or at least like the point where they maybe found their footing to make better movies, even though we still will get 2 more Descendants movies, but maybe they're better. Maybe.
And here's kind of a fun little thing. I read about the broadcast when it was being broadcasted, that the last 10 minutes of this movie, the last 10 minutes were replaced with a Teen Beach music video. Like it was like spliced in instead of like the last 10 minutes. So the song "That's How We Do" was just at the end of this movie instead of the last 10 minutes. Some kind of weird technical error.
Was it a technical error or was it purposeful?
It says, due to a technical error at the end of the movie, the last 10 minutes was replaced with the Teen Beach 2 music video.
Citation needed.
That's how we
Internet.
do. Yeah.
Well, this is how we do. We're A Whole New Pod. You can write us at awholenewpod@gmail.com. Coming up on that episode 100.
Was this 99?
This will be 99.
Wow.
We'll think of something to do, but it probably
Hopefully.
won't be like too crazy of 100. Except for that, we're going to be covering Adventures in Babysitting, which Jacob
Love that.
loudly yawned there.
Dude, it's been a long day. I'm like coughing. My throat's
This
sore.
movie was so long.
I enjoyed this movie, okay? And I think you did too. It's not one of the best movies, but it's above average for me, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to look at my ratings or rankings. I'd say I'm feeling like this is like a 3-star movie,
Wow.
which is, for a Disney Channel original movie, is
Good
basically
for
like
you.
4.5 star
Wow.
for a regular movie.
Yeah, no, I mean...
I still believe, I think I've only rated one movie 3.5 stars, and that, on Letterboxd I'm talking about, and that
Don't look
is
under the bed.
Don't Look Under the Bed.
Of course.
I thought maybe I did High School Musical 3.5 stars, but I think I kept that as a 3 as well.
Yeah, there's really not, like you said, like you pointed out, the acting, of at least one of our characters was exceptionally good. I like the costumes. I like the settings. The invisibility, I guess I could argue, was magical. I love that.
So, yeah, I don't think it's like a top 10 for me, but I
No.
think probably a top 20 or top 25 maybe.
Yeah.
I'd have to look.
Yeah.
My rankings sometimes get weird where I'm like, oh. Like, I would have to check. I think maybe Cloud 9 is like my second or least favorite movie. And I'm like, was it really that bad? But at least in the moment, that's when I have to judge it by. Looking back in retrospect, it's harder because it's like, I don't know, some of these movies just
Don't you just want to
go
forget?
in and out right
I can't
away.
remember any of them, so,
True. And that's why for next week, I will have quite the challenge for
God.
Jacob.
Oh, no.
But until then, we will first start our final wrap-up with Never Remember. Should we say the Invisible Sister, Molly?
You would have to say the Invisible Sister. And I think maybe, because they wouldn't be able to really defend her. She would be obviously be able to stop one of the planes.
Well, yeah, we gotta, keep it realistic.
We got to keep it real. So
no, she could not have stopped 9/11.
She would have stopped the plane that went down in the field, so the towers would have went down, the Pentagon's, getting hit hard. But those people in the field they're alive.
She could break out like her lacrosse skills or something too.
She's just
throw like a
checking
mini
people.
piano ginger ale with like her net or something.
Exactly.
And then she like put on like she's like, all right, now I'm going into a disguise, and she puts on like a burqa or something.
Oh my.
But then it just turns invisible.
You just can't see her eyes, but yeah, it's still around. Well, then I guess the clothes would disappear though, wouldn't they?
Yep.
The burqa would disappear.
They would.
So you want to plug
Just
Twitter
like
yet?
the Twin Towers disappear.
Oh my God. AWM Pod?
Yep, Twitter, AWN Pod, run by our good friend Dustin. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google, Stitcher, Spotify.
Leave some reviews, please. We got another one.
Or that was a rating. Yeah, rate us
rating.
or review us. We like to get feedback. It's always fun, And if you have some critical feedback of stuff we can work on, you can throw it out there. we probably won't do it. I mean, we're kind of set in our ways.
We're 100
now.
episodes in.
You know, light at the end of the tunnel a little bit, where I'm kind of just like, all right, let's just barge forward, you know?
We've been really good. We've been doing...
We're so good. You are so good, Jacob.
Thank you, Lucas.
My brother said so.
Yeah, I love that. For me. But I would say we've been really good with our schedule. Every, 2 weeks we're doing this. We just did a pod last week, but we've been on this like every other week for quite a while now.
Show some fucking appreciation.
Yeah, appreciate us. We're here for you.
You didn't watch Invisible Sister.
We had to. Maybe you should, actually. I would recommend it. Watch it. Check it out.
8 minutes. I mean, come on.
It's pretty good.
Also watch Can of Worms.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Mike Pillsbury.
So, yeah. YouTube.com/a whole new pod as well. Like, comment, and subscribe to those places.
Spotify. You said it.
I'll likely comment back to you if it's a good comment.
Oh, don't ask us where the full
Or sometimes
movie is.
even if it's not. Like that one lady who accused me of, for some reason, recording both of us. And I'm like, bitch, do you think it would sound as bad some of the times if it was both me? You crazy. And with that, well, I don't think we've ever really shared any anime detour stories.
We're going to get our weed on, is what I'm saying.
Oh, they said, we're going to get our weed bomb. And I'm like, Jacob is incriminating us.
We're going to get so high.
Even though we've well established that neither of us,
straight edge,
do the extracurricular substances.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to have a good time at Anime Detour. We're going to watch some wrestling this weekend.
Yeah.
Hopefully with Sam Blazing.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
And
stay
our
filthy.
audience, you make me feel seen.
Like a seen girl?
I wish I wasn't seeing Jacob.
Oh, I'm the invisible girl.
Today I'm going to teach you about one of my favourite guitar chords known as the James Bond chord. Very famous for being in most, if not all, of the James Bond films. And it usually happens after he says one of his infamous lines like, oh, Mr. Goldfinger, yeah, come in. We've got space for you to have a haircut. Come on, sit down here. Fucking joking, dickhead. I'm not really a barber. I'm fucking James Bond. Short back and blow your fucking head off. Twat!